Dime cuál es.
Okay. 449. No. Is my hand inside that?
Good evening, everybody who is watching us.
Buenas tardes a todos que nos están viendo. Sean bienvenidos a este programa.
It's almost time to say Shavua Tov.
Ya llegó el tiempo. Estamos acercándonos para desearle una buena semana. Shavua Tov.
And today we have here a group of remnants with us.
Nos queda un remanente aquí en la
Yeshiva
comunidad. Yeshua, el pan de vida. Orlando, Florida. Sean bienvenidos.
And we are excited because we are about to enter into a very specific journey.
Estamos muy contentos porque vamos a entrar en un viaje muy específico en esta tarde.
We are going to look this evening at one of these very important but very controversial topics.
Vamos a entrar a ver un tema muy importante, pero a la misma vez bien controversial.
And we are streaming right now also to the Portuguese channel.
Y también estamos transmitiendo en este momento para nuestro canal en portugués.
But those who are watching us from the Portuguese channel should know that it's been fully translated already to the Portuguese and was released last night.
Las personas que nos estén viendo que de habla portugués, déjenme dejarles saber que ya lo tenemos con traducción en portugués. Anoche se lanzó, de hecho.
There is a disclaimer we have to make before starting the shiur today.
Tenemos que decir algo muy importante antes de comenzar esta lección.
We are looking at prophecy.
Estamos viendo profecías en esta tarde.
It's like the earning statements of the companies.
Es como el estado financiero de una corporación o de una compañía.
Depending on what we do, God can reverse or change the course.
Dependiendo de lo que nosotros hagamos, el Eterno puede cambiar el curso o revertirlo.
Tonight, I want to present you the very best the rabbis of Israel have to say and the prophet of Israel have to say.
Hoy queremos presentarles lo mejor de lo mejor y escuchar qué dicen los rabinos de Israel sobre este tema tan importante.
About the future of the Sephardim.
Sobre el futuro del pueblo sefardita.
The future have a potential to be a very bright future.
El futuro tiene un potencial de ser muy brillante.
And this is important because if one knows his own destiny, what God called him to be.
Esto es muy importante. Si uno conoce cuál es su destino, a qué hemos sido llamados de parte de Dios,
it changes life.
Cambia nuestras vidas.
This last week, a young man is watching right now.
Un joven nos está viendo en este momento.
From Mexico, contact me.
Desde México se contactó conmigo.
He says, Rabbi, you talk about this vision and the dreams.
Rabino, usted habla sobre esta visión y estos sueños.
I've been getting those visions, those dreams.
Yo he estado teniendo esos sueños y esas mismas visiones.
The Spirit is upon the Latin world.
El Espíritu está sobre todo Latinoamérica en este momento.
And some of you don't know it, but we just launched the work in Brazil.
Muchos de ustedes no lo saben. Acabamos de lanzar la Yeshiva y nuestro trabajo ministerial en Brasil.
So this shiur had two parts.
Este shiur tiene dos partes.
In the first part, we talked about the history.
En la primera parte hablamos de la historia.
From Sfarad to Portugal.
De Sefarad a Portugal.
Ultimately, how you ended up in the Latin America.
Y finalmente, cómo terminamos cada uno de nosotros en Latinoamérica.
This is part of your history.
Eso es parte de nuestra historia.
But today, this evening,
pero en esta tarde, hoy,
we are going to be dealing with a prophecy.
Vamos a estar tratando con profecías.
The reason is because God is calling you to fulfill prophecy now. He's calling you by name.
La razón es porque Dios mismo lo está llamando por nombre para que venga y sea copartícipe y cumpla estas profecías escritas en la Biblia.
And thank you so much. I'm also going to have with me help with the Portuguese.
También muchas gracias. Vamos a tener ayuda desde aquí de Yeshua, el pan de vida, con las preguntas en portugués.
So I see my brother Marco Rodriguez from Portugal on now.
Vemos nuestro hermano Marco Rodríguez de Portugal.
Marco, if there's question on the topic of the Anusim, today we can take them in Portuguese as well and answer them with translation even.
Marcos, si tenemos preguntas en portugués, podemos responder en portugués y también las podemos responder con traducción.
And of course in Spanish.
Y obviamente en español.
We will have the presentation now.
Vamos a tener la presentación ahora mismo.
Then at the conclusion,
Y en la conclusión,
we will do a brief roundtable panel
vamos a hacer un panel, un segmento de preguntas y respuestas en vivo.
and allow you to ask the question because the Spirit is really going to move in this.
Y permitirlos que hagan preguntas porque sabemos y sentimos que el Espíritu se va a mover fuertemente en esto.
Now, as much as I like to take credit, I say, wow, Rabbi Shapira came with all of this. No.
Me gustaría tomar el crédito y decir, el Rabino Shapira fue el que trajo toda esta enseñanza.
We simply want to broadcast to you what the rabbis of Israel and the prophet of Israel said.
Simplemente queremos transmitirle a usted hoy lo que los profetas de Israel dicen y los sabios de Israel.
Test it against the spirit that is inside.
Pruébelo en contra del Espíritu que está ahí dentro.
Let's pray,
Vamos a orar
and then we'll start this intensive shiur.
y vamos a comenzar esta clase intensa.
Lord, you are Lord of revelation.
Señor, tú eres el Señor y el dueño de las revelaciones.
Tonight, it's an appointed, I really believe it's an appointed time.
Señor, yo creo firmemente que esto es una cita asignada por ti directamente.
You have your hand upon Sepharad,
Tú tienes tu mano trabajando a favor de Sefarat en este momento.
and I pray, Lord, that you will speak to people in this teaching
Y Señor, yo te pido que le hablas a las personas en esta enseñanza de hoy,
with your voice.
a través de con tu voz, por favor.
For the next 1 hour, I pray that people will have such an attentiveness
Te pido también que las personas estén atentas en esta próxima hora de la presentación
not to hear it with their heart,
para no
with their
escucharlas,
head, excuse me,
para no escucharlas con su cabeza nada más,
but listen to it with their heart.
que lo escuchen por favor con su corazón.
Speak to your people all over the world
Señor,
right now,
háblale a tu pueblo alrededor del mundo ahora mismo
and may there will be a great awakening.
y que haya un gran avivamiento, Señor.
For the benefit of those who speak Spanish this evening,
Para el beneficio de aquellos que hablan español en esta noche,
we have subtitled this entire shiur to Spanish.
hemos subtitulado esta presentación completamente en español.
I would like to thank the chief translator,
Queremos darle las gracias a nuestra traductora jefe,
Mrs. Tamar Hartman, who have been working day and night across the world.
la señora Tamar Hartman, que ha estado trabajando arduamente día y noche al otro lado del mundo para traerles esta programación
She
ahora.
knew I'm coming here.
Ella sabía que yo venía para acá,
She worked very hard
ha trabajado muy duro
to be a blessing to the community.
para hacer una bendición hacia la comunidad.
We honor you, Tamar.
Y en esta tarde, Tamar, te honramos.
I pray that this effort will be met today with the Spirit.
Espero que el esfuerzo tuyo sea encontrado y que las personas lo reciban con el Espíritu del Mesías.
Beloved, I'm going to say it once.
Amados, lo voy a decir una sola vez.
This is a teaching every Spanish speaker have to hear.
Esta es una enseñanza que todo hispanoparlante debe de escuchar.
I see great numbers already.
Ya vemos grandes números en este momento en la transmisión,
To triple them and quadruple them.
pero los vamos a triplicar y que sean hasta 4 veces más de lo que estamos alcanzando ahora mismo.
We cannot just talk about the past.
No podemos solamente quedarnos hablando del pasado.
We have to talk about the future.
Tenemos que hablar sobre el futuro.
So please, as you listen to the teaching,
Por favor, mientras usted escucha esta enseñanza,
write down the question.
escriba sus preguntas.
The Spirit is awakening.
El Espíritu nos está despertando.
I will be back in the end of the shiur with this great teacher ceremony,
Voy a regresar cuando termine la clase con los maestros que están conmigo.
as the Holy Spirit surely will speak to you.
Sabemos que el Espíritu Santo va a hablar directamente a su corazón en
And then
esta
we will do
tarde.
together the Havdalah.
Y después juntos vamos a hacer el Havdalah.
So please share this shiur.
Por favor, comparta ahora en este momento.
Thank you, Roe Flores,
Muchas gracias, Roe Flores,
for the willingness to host this important event for the entire Spanish-speaking world.
de siempre estar dispuesto para compartir su comunidad, para compartir la transmisión y todo lo que está sucediendo en esta hermosa comunidad.
I can tell you as a Jew,
Te puedo decir como judío que soy,
this is actually probably the teaching
te puedo decir que esta enseñanza,
that I'm most excited about,
que yo estoy muy contento,
maybe forever.
que yo he estado más contento por esta enseñanza
I'm excited,
para siempre.
And I'm excited about a lot of the teaching
Estoy contento y me siento feliz de muchas de las enseñanzas
because it's talking about hope.
porque hablan de la esperanza venidera.
It's talking about the impossibility become possible.
Está hablando de lo imposible que se vuelve posible.
It's talking about the dead branch resurrected.
Está hablando de las ramas que están muertas y cortadas que resucitan.
Let us be resurrected this evening
Que en esta tarde seamos resucitados todos,
together.
juntos.
We will be back with you shortly.
Regresamos pronto.
God bless you.
Que el Señor les bendiga.
Thank you so much, Oscar.
Muchas gracias, Roberto. Thank you, Rabbi Shapira.
And now let us go together
Ahora vamos juntos a ver este programa tan especial
to the shiur that is called the Twin Gathering,
a esta lección que se llama los dos
the Anusim
encuentros,
and the coming of the Mashiach.
los Anusim y la venida del Mesías, parte número 2.
Amen.
Amén.
Shalom, everybody, and welcome. My name is Rabbi Itzhak Shapira, and I'm the founder of Avat Amim Ministries International and Yeshiva shiur. I'm especially blessed that you decided to join us for this particular shiur in this mini seminar titled The Twin Gatherings, the Anusim, and the Coming of the Messiah. The topic of the Anusim is a topic that captures the hearts of many, but many do not understand what is the connection between the Anusim to the final redemption, to the final Geulah, to the salvation of Israel, to the fullness of the Gentiles. And in the first teaching, I started to touch on the important topic that we call the Anusim. To remind you, if you've not had a chance to watch the first teaching, the term Anusim mean literally the forced one, the raped ones. It's referring specifically to the Jews who have been forcefully converted to Christianity, starting in the late 1300s, all the way on, from the sins of the Inquisitions and the sins of the Catholic Church. I explained in the last shiur the magnitude of the Holocaust that has taken place during this time. And I explained to you in the context of the Anusim, who have been clearly prophesied by all the way from Moses, Isaiah, Jeremiah. Today we're going to continue with Isaiah and go look at Malachi. That this has been prophesied and spoken by the prophets of Israel so clearly about as end time, as a connection to the end time events and the gatherings that will take place in Jerusalem. In the last shiur, I spoke about the first ingathering, very bad ingathering, that will take place with a great war that's known as Gog and Magog, between or together, I should stress it, Islam and Christianity around Jerusalem. Where I left the last shiur to you is the fact that it says in the text that there will be a remnant from Gog and Magog, a remnant of Gentiles, those who will actually survive Gog and Magog. And those will be ones who are called with a specific task. And their task will be to prepare the nations, not just the nations, Israel, for the real and final ingathering. Today we want to talk about this ingathering and the connection between the Bnei Anusim, sons of the daughters of the Anusim to this future ingathering that is going to take place. I dedicate the shiur to all the Bnei Anusim in the Latin world, the Spanish world, Portuguese world. It's amazing to know that the Bible has prophesied about those days. The Bible has been prophesying about you. I would like to pick up the conversation and the shiur with you today by looking how the second ingathering will take place and the relationship between the Anusim to the salvation of the house of Israel. Let's turn together to Isaiah chapter 66 and read. It says, "And out of all the nations said the Lord, they shall bring all your brothers on horses, in chariots and drays, on mules and dromedaries, to Jerusalem, my holy mountain, as an offering to the Lord. Just as the Israelites bring an offering in a pure vessel to the house of the Lord." Now it's interesting here in the text, the way it speaks, it says, "Ve'aviu et kol achichem." And he's speaking about one group of people who is going to bring all the brothers as to Jerusalem. And they have a name. They call here in the text mincha. We see this term mincha. What does that mean? Does that mean that they're going to bring some sort of a gift to God? What is the gift is one of the questions that we have to ask ourselves. But the first thing first, we need to understand who is bringing who here. There are three groups of people in the text here who partake in this Geulah, in the final redemption, the great gathering up to Jerusalem. Group number one is those remnant from the Gentiles who survived Gog and Magog. They have a responsibility, and the responsibility is to bring the brothers, and in a minute we will define the brothers, from the nations, to bring them all the way up to Jerusalem. Itzhak Abarbanel explained to us this clearly, and he says that it is going to be the greatest miraculous event that we have ever seen. And he called it Pele Gadol, great miracle. Then he said, this will be a great miracle that is done by God as the children, one who are brought are the children of Israel who are yet to come up to Jerusalem from the land of the nation, who are being brought as an offering gift to God. Itzhak Abarbanel is telling us that the gift, the offering, is none other than those children of Israel who are joining the children of Israel. Do you get it? There are two different children of Israel groups here. There are two different groups that are partaking of the Geulah. The original Jews who are in the land, and those among the nations who are not Jewish, but yet they are calling here the children of Israel, and they are brought into the land, and they are going to be brought into the land by Gentiles, not Jews. There are three important questions to ask ourselves in light of the words of Itzhak Abarbanel. I'd like you to consider all three questions today as we go through this study. Question number one, who is being brought to Jerusalem in the second gathering? The question number two, what is the purpose in being brought up to Jerusalem? And then question number three, what is this great gift unto the Lord? Notice that question number one is asking the question who. Who is the right question? We're not talking about a vessel. We're talking about a group of people who are going to be joining to Israel, who's going to have a direct impact of the salvation, not just of the world, but the salvation of Israel. Who are those people? What is the mystery behind those people is the question that I want you to ask. Those people are called a gift. Here in the text, they're called a mincha. Another word for a gift in Hebrew is the word shiloh. Shiloh, like we see in Genesis chapter 49:18. Remember the three who came who visited Yeshua in Bethlehem as when he was born. That is a picture. And what did they brought him? They brought him gift. In Hebrew, gift is the word shai. And here we're seeing that they are going to, again, that those nations are going to be bringing a gift to the Messiah of Israel. And we need to ask ourselves, what is the nature of this gift? Who are those gifts? And what are those gifts are being representing? We read in the commentary called Mishpatot Atzav, let us read together, that during the time that the children of Israel will bring a pure offering to God, at the same time, it will even have an impact on the nations who will also want to bring a present to God. It will manifest itself in the nature of the nation's gift, who will bring all the Jews who are assimilated among the nations, who will become the ultimate gift to God, or the gift of God, the ultimate gift that is going to be offered to Messiah. He is the scattered of the house of Israel. And in a minute, we'll see who they are, where they come from, how we will identify them. But their notion here is important because it's not going to have just an impact on those who are being brought and on those who are going to be receiving them. It is also going to have a great impact on the one who will be bringing them. Here in the text, it says that they are going to be the nations. The nations. And it here says by Rabbi Nissim Reuven, who is a very important Sephardic rabbi during the time of the terrible tragedy that took place in Spain. He explained the following. He says, all the people of the world are destined to bring a gift to Messiah, the son of David. Let me stop there for a second and explain to you. When what we read in Isaiah chapter 66 about the nations bringing the ingathering, that takes place after Gog and Magog, then the real ingathering that is truly taking place. And here he's saying to us, the rabbi, that Rabbi Reuven says to us that this is going to take place during a time that all the nations are going to come up to Jerusalem. So the text here that we're reading in Isaiah 66 is a connector to Isaiah chapter 2 as an example, to the time that all the nations will come up to Jerusalem. And the rabbi connecting it to Isaiah 18:7, which says, in that time, a present should be brought to the Lord of hosts. So in Isaiah 66, they call a present mincha. But in Isaiah 18:7, where they call a present, they call shiloh. They are representing, they are the gift that is going to be brought to the Messiah. And we have to say, how can a person be a gift? What do you mean a gift for Messiah? Why is the Messiah even need a gift? And why this gift going to be the greatest gift that not just the Messiah is receiving, but the greatest gift that all of Israel is receiving? What is the nature of this gift of the scattered? Or here it says the scattered of the house of Israel, those who have been assimilated, but they are actually returning. We need to understand this. And Midrash Lekach Tov on Genesis 49, where we see the term Shiloh mentioned, tell us even where they are going to be gathered from. And remember that they are not gathered by Jews. They are being gathered by non-Jews. And it says in Lekach Tov, it says the nation of the world will bring a present to Messiah ben David, as declared, tribute shall be brought to the Lord, as stated, let the kings of Tarshish, Spain, and Ireland pay tribute. King of Sheba and Seba offer gift. This is important because the rabbi here, the Midrash Lekach Tov, quoting from Psalm chapter 72, that speak about the place where the nation's going to go and collect this great gift to bring it to the Messiah and to bring it to Israel. And what is this great gift? Is Israel. The Gentiles are going to bring Israel to Israel. You probably stretch your head right now and say, what? Why would Israel be brought to Israel? Isn't it there's one Israel? What do you mean, Rabbi Shapira? Are there two Israel? Let us explain it. Let us understand it. Read with me Psalm chapter 72, verse 10, the verse that is being quoted. And I quote to you today, may kings of Tarshish and the islands will bring tribute or gift. Kings of Sheba and Seba offer gifts. Notice where the gifts are coming from. The gifts are coming from Tarshish. Tarshish is Spain. It is talking about people who have been assimilated. Let me ask you a question. Which people have been assimilated to that Christianity from Spain who have to be restored as a gift to all of Israel? The answer is obvious. It is the Sfaradim. It is the Anusim. It is talking about our people who will be returning from the nations all the way to the house of Israel. Now notice what it says about those kings of Spain. It said that they will bring tribute. Now this word, bring, is an important word. This word here in the text, bring, is the word yashivu. Yeshiva, listen to the word yeshivu. It's come from the word shuv, shav, shuvu, shuva. To bring something in, return something. Not to bring something new, but rather to return something that is old. I want you to understand this because this is an important, significant, and prophetic point. The prophet here in Psalm 72 says that they will return from Spain. Not something that is brand new, something that is old, and something that have to be returned, that is being taken or has been borrowed and maybe taken without permission or borrowed without permission. And the question that you have to ask yourself, why is it so important that this something that has been taken without permission will return back to Yaakov, that return back to Israel, that will return back to the Messiah? Because the secret, friends, the secret of their redemption is dependent on the fullness of the house of Israel. Just as in Pesach, we're talking about the fullness of the four children, that they're all coming together, or in Sukkot, when we talk about the four species being bound together, here we are seeing the same picture again and again, that the fullness of the house of Israel is what is needed in order for the corporate redemption to take place. In other words, without the returning of the gift, the return of something that was taken, let's call it without permission, or let's even call it taken by force. It's taken by force. Without that, there is no salvation in the world. Salvation is going to come when Israel is corporately is ready to receive him. Are you following what I'm telling you? The rabbis in Midrash Tanchuma connected the dot between this verse in Psalm 72:10, they're talking about returning something from Spain to the relationship between Esav and between Yaakov. This is very important. I know it's a little bit detailed, but I want you and I need you to stay with me and follow this with me. In Genesis chapter 32 and 33, we see Yaakov preparing to the meeting with Esau. And what did it says about the meeting with Esau? It says that at the night, again, night in Judaism represent the time prior to the Geulah. At the night, it says, actually, let's go to the text together. It says, after spending the night there, he, Jacob, selected from what was at hand these presents for his brother Esau. Excuse me, what is he chosen to give Esau? Presents. According to Isaiah chapter 66, Isaiah chapter 18, and Psalm chapter 72, what will be returned to Jerusalem? Presents. In Isaiah chapter 66, the present is not a what, is a who. As we already learned, it is the Anusim themselves who have to be given back by the Gentiles back to Jacob. In a minute, it will all make sense to you. Here it says that he's giving Jacob, in the text, it says he's giving a gift to Esau. The word there, from everything that was in his hand, is important. In Hebrew, you said, min haba beyado, mean that he is giving things randomly. It's like he was grabbing something from here, was grabbing something. He was grabbing 550 livestock. He gathered everything here. It is not a regular giving when you give some thoughts to what you're going to give and how you're going to wrap the gift. No, he's randomly giving him pretty much almost everything that he has. You know why? Because he is panicking. He is giving him the gift. Jacob is giving him the gift under force. He is being forced to give him the gift. Who is the picture of the Anusim in this story? It is Jacob. Jacob is the Ben Anusim. Why? Or in this case, he is the Anus himself, because he is doing something under force, under compulsion. He have a knife to his throat, and that's why he's giving the gift to Esau. And you say, well, that said so. It seems like you're randomly giving a gift. Oh, I disagree. You have to ask yourself the two questions in the context of our discussion, because the gift here in the Besorah are equivalent for the future gifts that will be returned back to Israel. And now you will understand why they will be returned back to Israel. It says, before I go there, I want you to think about those couple of important points. Number one, what are the gifts that will be returning from Spain? I think you know the answer already. It is the Anusim themselves who will be returning. And the second question that you must ask yourself is, what is the true goal beyond the gift to Yaakov, gift of Yaakov? What is Yaakov truly was trying to establish? Well, let's deal with them one at a time. But first, we have to understand something, that the gift that Jacob is giving to Esau, that now we know that in the future will be returning. Remember what it says in Isaiah 66, that the gift will be returning? In a moment, we'll see what the Midrash says. Everything that Yaakov is giving Esau going to go back from Esau back to Jacob in the last days. We'll get there. I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself. I'm too excited by this. But look at what it says in Genesis chapter 32, verse 12. It says, before giving the gift, it says, deliver me, I pray, from the hand of my brother, from the hand of Esau. Else I fear he may come and strike me down, mothers and children alike. Yet you have said, I will deal bountifully with you and make your offering as the sands of the sea, which are too numerous to count. After spending the night there, he selected from what was at his hand there to bring present to his brother Esau. Did you read the text? Did you see what the Hebrew said? He said, Hatzileni na miyad achi. Save me from the hand of my brothers. And then he gave the gifts, which tell us something about the nature of the gift that Yaakov is giving himself. The nature of the gift present that he's giving them out of force, not out of love, not out of care. He's bringing them because he's scared that he will kill him. This gift is the gift that representing the Anusim. It is a gift that is given by force. And that's why the Yalkut Ruveni says, and I quote, it says, and Jacob took what was available in his hand, meaning he gave him everything, as a gift to give to Esau, which represent a secret as he have bribed. Oh, he's trying to bribe Satan himself. Brothers and sisters, what is happening here in the text is that Jacob is trying to bribe Esau, try to bribe Edom, so that Edom will not kill him. The Anusims were giving as a bribe to Esau, as a bribe to Christianity. Because if those Anusim, who were like the lamb that was led to the slaughter, were not giving to the end of Christianity, they would have killed us all. I want you to understand that. The gifts represent the Anusim. That is the fair representation of the Anusim, according to the Midrash. And if the one it was not given to Esau, he would have killed Yaakov. Because we know he's coming to kill Yaakov. He doesn't come to kiss him. We already know that. So that is an important part of this topic that we are talking about today. His gifts are a gift of force. And gift of force is called Anusim. It's a gift that comes to stop Esau from destroying Yaakov. Although we talk about the Anusim in a sense, well, they decide to leave Judaism and reject Judaism. Can you imagine what would the Catholic Church would have done if not one Jew would have converted? If the church did not have the reward of Jewish souls, they would have killed each and every one of us. And that's why he said here in his prayer, Yaakov, Hatzileni na miyad achi. Deliver, I pray from the hand of my brother. When you take this text, Hatzileni na miyad achi, and you look at the prefix of each word, you get hey, you get nun, and you get mem. What is the word hey, mem, nun translated to? The word Haman. Haman. The Haman we read about in this story of Purim. My brothers and sisters, the spirit of Haman is the same spirit that has been on top of the Catholic Church. Make no mistake about this. The spirit of Haman is the same spirit that seeks to destroy the Jewish people, just as in the Inquisition, the church has seek to destroy the Jewish people. And the only thing that the church will take, the only thing the adversary will take, which is Satan ultimately himself, is some reward, some Jewish reward. That's the only thing that they can slow him down for a little bit. Now you have to understand something, that in the last days, all the gifts that is given from Yaakov to Esau, going back the other way, from Esau to Yaakov. Yaakov is going to receive, begin all the gifts of Esau. And on that, the Midrash Sechel Tov says, all the gifts that Yaakov, meaning Israel, given to Israel, to Esau, to Christianity, the nations of the world will return to King Messiah. Let King of Tarshish, Spain, and the island pay tribute. What is the ultimate tribute? What is the ultimate gift that is going to be returning back to Yaakov from Esau? The ultimate gift that is going to be returning is the souls of the Jewish people who been consumed by Esau, who have been taken by Esau, but they are really part of Yaakov. And that, brothers and sisters, is the story of the Anusim. They belong today to Esau. Make no mistake. Let us be honest and true about it. They today belong to Esau, but they belong to Esau illegally, because the way Esau has acquired the gift is by force. That's the word anusim. Only Esau can return the gift to Yaakov. And that's why we see in the prophecy of Isaiah 66 that it is Gentiles who represent Esau who go to the nations to bring him back out to Yaakov. This is important. Only through Esau we can take our piece of Esau. We deliver him from Edom all the way to Jacob. The question is, if the gifts had been given 500 years ago, over 500 years ago, to Christianity, not gift, I use it in quotation mark, false gift, a gift under force, will all the gifts return to Yaakov? Listen to what the Midrash Shocher Tov, Buber edition, tells. It says the following. Midrash Tehillim on 141, it says, and he spent that night there, and he took whatever hand grabbed. Now we know what it is. Panic, everything. He took actually 550 livestock, exactly. Is it not robbery or by force? As it is said, because you have robbed your brother Yaakov, disgrace will cover you, and you shall be cut off forever. Obadiah 1:10. Brothers and sisters, the Midrash is telling us what is took place here. Esau had robbed Yaakov of the greatest gift, and the greatest gift that belonged to Yaakov, that Esau has taken, is the Anusim, is the schedule of the house of Israel. There is no greater gift that has been taken from Yaakov than the descendants of the house of Israel. And here Obadiah 1:10 says, no. God is going to deal with Esau. Remember Esau? Take the word Esau, flip the letters, you get Yeshua. Esau is a word that represents Christianity. Where today are those scattered people? We talk about 200 million Bnei Anusim. Where are they today? They are all inside Christianity. And the question about are they all going to come? They're all going to return? The Midrash gives us a sobering word, a sad word, but it's a word that we have to face with reality. And it says, and I quote, as it is said, because you have robbed your brother Yaakov, he says, will cover you, and you shall be cut off forever, talking about Esau. But listen to Israel's answer. Is he cut forever? Is the Anusim are the Anusim going to be cut forever? That is the $1 million question. This is the question that we need to ask ourselves today. Are they gone forever? And listen to the answer of the Midrash. And whatever he swallowed, whatever Esau swallowed, whatever Esau consumed, is it lost? Says the Lord, I shall take from between his teeth, as it is said, says the Lord, from Bashan I will return. To that it was said, please save me from a man of violence and robbery. In essence, what the Midrash is suggesting, and we're asking the question, what about those who have been consumed? Those who are completely a Christian. After 5 years, 100 years, most of the Bnei Anusim who have been given by force, who taken by force by Christianity, they have been fully consumed and fully digested by Christianity. It is true, and we cannot avoid it saying this. It is true. They are Christians, they're not Jewish. But the Navi here tell us, the Nevuah, the prophecy telling us there are pieces that are stuck between Esav teeth. Those pieces that are stuck between Esav teeth represent the remnant among the Anusim, those who are now coming out, those who are maybe not fully have been accepting themselves as Christians, those today who are being revealed and receiving today in these last days a Jewish identity, a revelation of the house of Israel. My goodness, it can be you. I pray that you are one of those people who will be stuck between the teeth of Esau, because it says that God will take his little, teeth cleaner, and he will pull him out. He will reveal him, and he will take him out of Esau. And those pieces who will be taken out of Esau, those represent the gift who will return all the way back to the house of Jacob. Those they will be returning back as the gift for King Messiah. Why are those pieces are so important? Why is it so critical today for us to see those pieces, as the Midrash says, not the swallowed pieces, but those pieces that are hanging inside Esau, to bring them out? Why do we have a yeshivot for Messianic movement in Sfarad, in Portugal? Why do we do that? Because there is a surprise here to the story. Remember, those pieces were coming out. It says in Isaiah 66, what we have been learning today, that it says that they are becoming a gift to Adonai. What is this word in Hebrew, gift? This word in Hebrew, gift, is the word mincha. Okay? And it says it in the text. The mincha, the gift in the Midrash, it says the mincha, or the gift, will return back from itself. Meaning that the letters will be flipped from mincha. Excuse me, let me take a sip of water. They will be flipped from mincha, from gift, to nechama, which is comfort. And on this it is said that all the gifts will be returned to King Messiah, that the gift that he himself has sent will return to comfort. The gift here, the Hebrew word for gift is the word mincha, and that's what it promises in Isaiah. What the Midrash says, that if you take the word mincha and you flip the letter of the word mincha, you get the word nechama, and nechama means comfort. What will happen when the scattered among the house of Israel returning, when Israel returning to Israel, what will happen? Their own gift will become a comfort to the Jewish people. It's become a comfort to all of Israel. That's when the fullness of the entire house of Israel is taking place. There is a complete restoration and rectification that is taking place inside the house of Israel when we'll have all of Israel together. Why do you think? It's talk about Jeremiah 31, about a new covenant with the house of Yehudah and the house of Israel. Just as it says in Isaiah chapter 66, that Israel will be led back to Israel. The first Israel, that is called the house of Yehudah, that's the naturally Jewish people. But the other Israel is the house of Israel, which is Gentiles, who are actually have been scattered among the house of Israel because they have been forcefully converted. when the two sticks will become one, when Israel and Israel will become one, then the mincha gift will become the same letters. The word nechama, they will become nechama. They will become a comfort for the entire house of Israel in these days. Pay attention to this, because Yaakov is giving me under force exactly 550 livestock. And this is important. Look at the Midrash with me. It says, on the gift of 200 she-goats and 20 he-goats, 200 eos and 20 rams, 30 camels, 40 cow, 10 bull, 20 she-asses, and 10 he-asses, it says, the number of animals is equivalent to 550, which is equivalent to the word taken or tikkun, which refer to the future goodness that will come from the tikkun. Notice something. Yaakov is giving Esau under force 550 animals, which is related to the term tikkun, repair, restoration. Who is the one who is going to be repaired and restored when the gifts are returning to him? We can argue that Yaakov himself is going to be repaired when all of Israel will come together, when all of Israel will become one. That's what when Paul says, that's the day that all of Israel will be saved. So a tikkun will happen in all of Israel corporately when we see King Messiah bringing, and when we see King Messiah recognizing, all the scattered in the house of Israel, which will be led by Gentiles who will be bringing them. It is an incredible prophecy. But maybe the tikkun also will take place for those who are bringing them. Who are the ones who are bringing back the gift? Well, let me ask you a question. Who is the one who taken the gift to begin with? It was Esau. It was Christianity. Who is the one who is going to bring back those gifts? It's going to be Esau. It's going to be Christianity who is going to have an historic part of this tikkun. God will not allow even one, not even one inside the house of Israel, not even one inside of Israel will be perishing in the day that King Mashiach will come. When King Mashiach comes, the very first thing he's doing, he's pulling his little virtual spiritual scanner, and he said, I have a magnet here. Everybody who has a Jewish descendancy is coming up immediately up to Jerusalem. This is the gathering, and he's going to use the Gentile as this living magnet to bring the Jewish people who are scattered up to Jerusalem. This is the way that the Midrash explained it so beautifully in Midrash Tehillim 87. It says, Rabbi the Yossi, son of Simon, all the nations are destined to bring gift to King Messiah. As it is said in Song of Song 4:8, you will see from the top of Amana. Rabbi Shimon asked, why the gift is named Teshuvah? Since a man look at it and sing as it is said in Job 7:8, and I shall not see me. And when they arrived to King Messiah, he told them, are there Israel among you? Bring them to me. I want you to understand something. The nations going to be gathered up to Jerusalem in this final gathering, and everybody think, oh, it's great, King Messiah is there and he's loving us and he's caring for. No, he's still a judge. And he have one question for the Gentiles. He says, hey, Gentiles, so glad to have you here in Jerusalem. Now hand over the Jews. Hand over the gifts that Esau stole. Hand over the theft of the last 500 years. Hand it over to me, says King Messiah. And the great and amazing thing about it is that the Gentiles know who they are. Those Anusim know who they are. And the question, how do they know who they are? This is a great miracle that is going to be taking place in these days. They're also being brought up to Jerusalem in the greatest of honor. They are being honored as they come. When he talk about their becoming the chariot and this and that, he's talking this metaphoric language of the prophet Isaiah to speak about the great honor and the way they're going to come up to Jerusalem as the Jewish brethren who are returning home, as the prodigal sons who are returning home. What is the number one issue today in the Latin culture? The number one issue in the Latin culture today is identity, is shame, is a society that is full of shame and guilt. Do you want to know where it stems from, where it's rooted from? Those who are Spanish descendants, Portuguese descendants, listen to me. It is rooted in today in what took place when Esau put a sword to the neck of your forefathers. And today you have an opportunity to break this sword, break this yoke, lift the shame. I love the way the Midrash continue to explain it, and I say it with you. In Midrash Tehillim, it says, give the Lord, it's quoting, he connected it, the Midrash to Psalm 96:7. Give the Lord the families of the nations. That is, nation brought me from the families of Israel, said the Rebbe, and he tells them to bring them respectfully, not with contempt. Offer the Lord honor to his name, those who respected him in this world and respected his name. In the name of Rabbi Yehuda. In that time, tribute shall be brought to the Lord of hosts from all the people far and remote. This is Isaiah 18:7, when it says that they're going to be brought up. Isaiah 18:7 and Isaiah 66 and Psalm 96 speaking about the same event, the time, the day, the Anusim, the gift that now belong to Esau, the token Jews who became Christians. They are going to be brought up, and they are brought up in such an honor, such a kavod. A red carpet is open to them. That said that they will be led up to Jerusalem. What is the word brought up? What is the word brought up here in the text? Is the word Yovel. The word Yovel is the word Jubilee, brothers and sisters. The Jubilee will take place when the Anusim will be led again up to Jerusalem. Do you know that if you take the word Jubilee, you have the value of 47. And the word them also is equivalent the value of 47, who represent the ultimate Jubilee. When will the ultimate Jubilee will come? The ultimate Jubilee will take place when they will be brought up in honor up to Jerusalem. God help us today. The Jewish society today is refusing to look at the Anusim. When we refusing to look at the Anusim, we are delaying the topic of Geulah. Everybody need to understand this. When we as Jews do not look at them and we close the eyes on this issue, we are stopping redemption from coming to the world. God help us. Because here in the text says that they're going to become and brought to Mashiach, who will say, give them to me. Why? Messiah want them. Messiah want them because the future salvation of all of Israel. And what I'm talking about now about Israel, I'm talking about the physical branch, the Jews, and those who became Gentiles. All of Israel are determined, the salvation determined is by those Gentiles who have the seed of Israel returning back home. We have to get ourselves ready. The Gentiles have such an important role here as well, as they will be the one who will be bringing them. Their fullness will take place at the same time, in the same way as Gentiles. Listen to the continuation of the Midrash. Amazing. Midrash Tehillim 87, it says, they bring them as a gift to King Messiah. Again, they become a living king, gifts for King Messiah, as it says in Isaiah 66:20. And bring all your brothers from all the nation as an offering to your God. Remember what I already told you. Those gifts are coming from Spain. It is speaking about the Sfaradim. It is speaking about the Anusim. It is speaking about them in the last days, without any doubt. Rabbi Barachia says, the elderly among them cannot lean on one stick. What do the others do? They bring them and support them with their own hand. What does it mean, respectfully? It means that they bring them in respect. And when they bring them and are about to leave, he says, this one is a Kohen, this one is a Levi, yet this one is from the house of Israel. God himself is going to say on each and every one of them in the last day, this one is a Kohen, and this one is a Levi, and this one is the house of Israel. There are many inside of us today who are complete Gentile, who belong to the Kohanim, who belong to the Leviim, and who belong to all Klal Israel. And the question is, are they going to come out? Are they going to be spit out? They are stuck in the teeth of Esau today. We have to help to set them free. It's going to be a remnant, because God promised never go null and void. And here in Isaiah 66:21, we perhaps read the most shocking promise in the text when he talk about complete Gentiles who have the lineage of the house of Israel. And he says, and I quote, I will also take some of them as priests and for Leviim, says Adonai. And here it's used the Hebrew word mehem. From them, I'm going to take some to be Kohen. And Levi says God. And the question should be in the back of your mind. How can they be a Kohen? How can they be a Levi? How is it possible that one of them is going to be a Kohen or a Levi, to the point that God will say, this is a Kohen, this is a Levi? How is it even halachically possible? The Midrash explained to us something that is hard to digest. And you have to understand something. Until they return fully, Israel as a nation will not receive salvation. There is no salvation without them. And Midrash Tehillim explained the following, and it says the explanation is that if they have been enslaved, the explanation is that they have been enslaved and forgotten, and they became Gentiles by becoming forcibly, by becoming a Muslim. He stopped there. The Midrash is telling us that they are Gentile by force. Just as Yaakov gave in the gift by force, they became Gentiles by force. It's not legitimate. It's not real. But 500 years have gone by. They become Gentiles, as it says, by the hand of oppressors. I receive them. Are you hearing the word that God says? Not Rabbi, Chief Rabbi of Sephardic, Chief Rabbi Ashkenazic DNA. God says, I will receive them. Messiah will receive them. And it says here, as it is says, I shall take from them as well. How all of this is taking place? Rashi asked the question, how is it even possible? And Rashi himself provides the answer in an amazing prophecy about the Anusim from the Torah, from Deuteronomy chapter 29, where it says, the hidden things belong to Adonai our God. Say it with me right now. The hidden things belong to Adonai our God. They are not hidden to God. God knows who they are today. 500-600 years later, God knows exactly who they are. There is no doubt. The shocker is that in the last days, he's going to reveal to them also who they are, and he's going to prepare them to bring Israel into salvation. Israel's salvation is depending upon the Anusim, upon the Portuguese, upon Bnei Anusim today. But we do have an halachic problem. Remember, when we talk halacha, we have to talk about Rambam. And Rambam explained to us that if one is a priest, and he became a worker of Avodah Zarah, he can never work in the temple. But here in the text, it says that they will work in the future temple of God. How we reconcile those two things? This is important. Look at the halacha found to us in admission of the sanctuary 9:13 in the Mishneh Torah, one of the most important halachic Jewish works that we have. And it says, every person who partake in Avodah Zarah, idol worship, intentionally or unintentionally, even if he made complete repentance, and I want you to underline those next two words, cannot serve in Bet HaMikdash, in the temple, forever, not for a limited time, forever, as stated in Ezekiel 44:13. They shall not approach me to serve me as priests. Ezekiel 44:13. Wait a second. If this is the case, how come the prophet Isaiah tells us that there will be Kohanim who actually, not Kohanim by name, but the Kohanim who work? How do we reconcile the two positions? Pay attention to the words of Rambam. Rambam explained that this prohibition, this law, is taking place on those who do it, either what he called mazid or shogeg. What is mazid? Mazid is if one says, I am a Kohen, he's a Kohen, but I am intentionally converting to Christianity, and now I want to become Kohen Gadol. That's called mazid. It's something that you do intentionally from full conscience. Shogeg is something you do unintentionally. You made a mistake, he's not a bad guy. He made a mistake. Okay? But what about the Anusim? They are not have done it b'mazid for sure. They were forced to become Christians. And Shogeg, no, that's not sure. It's not unintentional. There's a third category. It's called be'onis, under a knife to your throat. And here, let's see what Mishbatzot Zahav tell us about the Rambam. To explain and reconcile Rambam, it says, the Rambam language speak of those who done it intentionally or unintentionally, mazid or shogeg. However, when it is a question of life or death, as in the case of Anusim, they are not disqualified. And why they are not disqualified? The reason that they are not disqualified is because it's happened under the prohibition of the Anusim. Just as Yaakov has given those gifts under being Anusim, it doesn't count. That means that the original gift still belonged legally to Yaakov. Yaakov gave the gift to Esau because he was forced, but the original gift still belonged to Yaakov. Just as the Anusim still belong to Israel today. Nobody will be able to take the Anusim from Israel, not even Christianity, because they were forced. It's an issue of legality, of Jewish law. I want you to understand that, and that's why they can be Kohanim. But they need to be immersed again. They need to become Jewish again Not just Zera Israel, Jewish again. So now the question, how they will be converted? Oh, I know, they're going to go to the Chabad, the local rabbi, and do a conversion, right? I don't think so. Anybody who wants to convert today, who is a Ben Anusim, be careful. Understand prophecy. Do not diminish prophecy. Brothers and sisters, listen to the greatest Jewish mind from Italy. Couple of 100 years later, the Ramat Valley, and listen to what it says. There is a great confusion as a result of their exile about the Anusim, about their lineage, both in the camps of the Kohanim and the Leviim. They will participate together with the non-Kohanim, meaning the Jewish Kohanim, those with the last name Cohen, that are truly today a physical Kohanim in Israel. We have them, the Kohanim, okay? Non-Kohanim in the house of Israel, in the service of the temple. Till the Ramad position, they are going to join the Kohanim. They will serve as Kohanim. We already fixed the problem with the halacha. We fixed the problem with the halacha with the Rambam. I already explained to you why. But now it says how the conversion to be Kohanim again, 500 years later, how is it going to take place? And it says, the Mashiach, he will sprinkle holy water on them from all of the filthiness, both physically and spiritually, so that they will be ready to do their part in the temple. Brothers and sisters, what is sprinkling holy water on them mean? It is mean that they are being converted. A mikveh is one of the prerequisites for the notice, it doesn't say that they're going to be circumcised. It doesn't mention that. It doesn't mention that they're going to bring the korban, the sacrifice. Why? Because they are the korban. They have been the korban for the last 500 years. Brothers and sisters, they are the living korban. They are the lamb who has been led to the slaughter. What do you think they are? They are the korban. The only thing that is left to do is a mikveh. They will jump into a mikveh of King Messiah himself. Do you want to know who will be the one who converting them in this day? Yeshua is sitting in Jerusalem. He says, bring me the house of Israel. All the goyim come. He pick him. He pick there. He pick him. So come on. Let me tell you a secret. You are really Mr. Cohen. You're really Mr. Levy. And now I am going to bring you a spiritual mikveh in Mashiach mikveh. And he's surprising them and tell them who they really are. They will already know who they are because the Spirit will speak to them. But the Messiah will complete the job. What an amazing conclusion for the salvation of the entire house of Israel. Even Rambam himself, who was a rationalist, in Mishneh Torah, which is a halacha on Acharet Hayamim, say, and nobody can argue about the Rambam here. Nobody can. He explained to us this prophecy about the Anusim. He said, the very first thing Messiah is going to do is to restore the Kohanim and Levim. When he come here and establish Bet HaMikdash, the very, very first thing that he's going to do is to establish the line of the Kohanim and Levim. Look what the Rambam says. During the era of the Messianic kingdom, or the Messianic king, once his kingdom has been established and all of Israel is gathered around him, talking about physical Israel, the Jewish people, the entire nation's line of descendant will be reestablished on the basis of the words of the prophet, or the prophetic spirit, which will rest upon him. Again, what are the words of the prophetic spirit? It says in Malachi 3:3, he shall sit as a refiner and purify. He will purify the leader of the Levite, first stating he is a priest of defined lineage. He is a Levite of defined lineage. He's going to be doing something amazing, the Messiah. And here Rambam is quoting Malachi 3:3 to explain to us exactly what the Messiah is going to be doing. He's going to be cleansing and purifying all the lineage, all the line of the house of Israel. Look at this. This is something absolutely amazing, absolutely incredible. It says in Malachi 3:3, and he will sit as a smelter or a purifier of silver, and he will cleanse the sons of Levi and purify them like a gold or silver, like a Kohen and a Levi. They will become for Adonai those who present an offering in righteousness. The final offering that is going to be presented by Israel to King Messiah to complete the Geulah is by the scattered Gentiles who are called unreceived, who are part of the house of Israel. They've been hidden, and now they are going to be returned, and then Mashiach is going to be refining them. He is going to restore each and every one of you. Brazil, Portugal, Sfarad, Latin America, hallelujah. He is going to pull one by one. Those who have been swallowed, they've been swallowed, they are gone. I'm talking to you, as the Midrash said, who are stuck in the teeth of Esau. You are coming out. Spit yourself out. Come out of Christianity today. Get ready to join the house. Rabbi David Kimchi, in his brilliant commentary, leave us no doubt for where they came from and what they're calling in the last days. The Radak says, even those who are dwelled in remote islands, we saw it, they speak about Sfarad, so remote that they are considered lost. Moreover, they did not ascend with their brothers, the house of Israel, from the exiles, because they are not the natural branch. They may have changed some part of their religion. Despite all of this, I will appoint some of them as Kohanim and Leviim. That is, those who belong to priestly and Levite family in the past. I will appoint them, Kohen to serve me, and Levite to serve me, like the Levites who used to sing before me, violins and harp. They will lead to worship. They will be leading the worship in those days. They are going to become a Kohen. They are going to become a Levi. And by the words of our rabbis, may they be remembered for good. Look at the conclusion of the Radak. I will also take their offering when they are approaching. They are the living offering, as they are Israel and Kohanim and Leviim among them. They have been enslaved and were forced to convert, and those they have been forgotten. Said Rabbi Eliezer, and they will also take from them. They bring Israel to King Messiah. Let me stop there and tell you something. They will bring all of Israel to the Mashiach recognition. Somehow the event of them coming up to Jerusalem will lead all of Israel to recognize King Messiah. Why? Because when the natural branch will see all the brothers are returning and understanding the return, then all of Israel will surrender to God, will surrender to Hashem. Each and every one of them I will take from those who bring from those who are being brought. And from them, the Aramaic mean, and here the Radak quotes his own father, and he says, my father interpret and this text to mean, and I will also take men from them and appoint them to Cohen, and I will appoint Levites from them to serve me as a Cohen, and there will be water drawers and woodcutters. And the Holy Bible says in Zechariah prophecy, there are no Canaanites in the house of God anymore, meaning the Gibeonites were woodcutter and water drawers is from the prominent Kohanim. I will appoint workers and helpers for the Kohanim. You see, Radak's father had a problem with this. And that problem was the problem, how can you take Gentiles and make them a Kohanim? So he came up with a nice interpretation that they become like a woodcutter and water drawers to help the Kohanim, like a helper to the first class Kohanim. Brothers and sisters, listen to me. They're not going to be a second class Kohanim. We have to stay true to the text. They will become Kohanim. After over 500 years, and the way they will become Kohanim is the Holy Spirit will awaken them. They will bring them, and Messiah will convert them, and it's going to be the Gentiles who are going to bring the remnant of the house of Israel. And in that, all of Israel will be awakened. The full salvation will come to Israel. And that's why in Yalkut Otzar Haggadah we read, the prophet is about the sons of Israel who stay in Salem among the nations, who were part of the families of the Kohens and the Levi. They have changed their religion, but they will be taken to serve like a Levi in song and harps, and they will be known through the Holy Spirit that they have been prophesied by Malachi. How will they know it? Why the Spirit of God today is already awakened. So many Sfaradim, it's awakening you to tell you to come out of the teeth of Esav. What do you think? We have a yeshivot in Sfaradit, in Portuguese. Why? So that you come out of Esav, so that you come out of the teeth of Esav. And here the Midrash continue and explain to us that the brothers that Isaiah referred to, who come out of the nations, he's made the point so clear, are the Anusim, who became part of the Goyim, and they were unable to be part of the main and gathering of the exile due to the wrath of the Satan. Will they keep the religion of Judaism or the religion of Gentiles? Today, the question that I have for all of you is, will you, Sfaradim, Portuguesim, Bnei Anusim, will you return to Judaism to meet Yeshua HaMashiach, to receive your real mikveh and real conversion, or will you remain in Christianity? If you remain in Christianity, you will be like this gift that being consumed by Esau with no fruit. When is the new heavens and new earth come? Listen to the next verse. It says, for is the new heaven and the new earth, which I will make shall endure by my will, declared the Lord. So shall your seed and your name endure. Brothers and sisters, the new heaven and the new earth will come when the gift, the mincha, which represent the Anusim, was forcefully taken, illegally taken by Esav. Christianity will be returned to Yaakov. Esav, Christians, you need to loosen Esav today. Christians who are watching me right now, I pray that you will loosen Esav. Because without the Gentile loosening Esau, the gifts cannot be returned. Perhaps this is a prophetic language about the Gentiles coming to the fullness and opening the way for their return to Judaism with the Messiah of those from the seed of the house of Israel. The Anusim. Everybody have a role here to play. I pray today that you know how important each and every one of you return. If you're East of Christianity, if you're Ben and Bat Anusim, and if you're Israel, physically Jewish people. All three parties are part of this great plan of God. And I urge you today in this day, they are not forgotten by God. Therefore, they should not be forgotten by men. But every day that go by, that we don't awake those Jewish seeds among the Sfaradim, among the Anusim, is a day that those seeds go deeper and deeper into Esau's digestive system. Let us awaken ourselves now. Let us start the return now. You are the living mincha who will bring, flip the letters, nechama, comfort to all of Israel's salvation. We need you. Do your part. And in that, all of Israel shall be saved. God bless you and shalom.
בעמך ישראל תפילתם, והשבת העבודה.
What a very special evening we had here, and we have actually 130 cities from all over the world who are watching right now. Praise be to God for this, and we have with us,
Gracias al Eterno, tenemos 130 ciudades viéndonos el día de hoy.
And Shabbat will be over here in a few moments.
En breves instantes, Shabbat se acabará.
But we want to take a moment. I can tell from the online overwhelming emotional response from people.
Hemos tenido una respuesta de parte de las personas que nos están viendo bien grande.
We will take a collection of questions, both either in English or Spanish, both online and physically.
Vamos a tomar preguntas desde el internet, desde la transmisión y también aquí en la comunidad físicamente.
If you have a question online, please ask them online.
Si tienen alguna pregunta en línea, por favor, haga el comentario en línea.
And if you are here,
y si usted está aquí,
it's going to be interesting what we will work it, because I will repeat your question.
Vamos a repetir su pregunta para que todos la escuchen.
You can just stand up or raise your hand and we'll just go.
Póngase de pie o levante su mano, por favor, para que empecemos el segmento de preguntas y respuestas.
So we'll start physically and then those online type in your questions.
Vamos a comenzar primeramente aquí en la comunidad y las personas en línea escriban sus preguntas, por favor.
Any question physically?
¿Alguna pregunta aquí directamente?
Yes. Please state your name. Well, actually, you're going to be very, come closer. Yeah. There you go.
Acérquese.
Introduce yourself.
Okay, shalom. Harold Pinson.
Go ahead, Harold.
Colombia.
Colombia.
¿En Spanish o en español?
Viva Colombia. Español.
Ok, español.
Gracias.
Ok, hay algunas personas.
There's some people
que conocieron del Mesías, Yeshua,
that they know of the Messiah, Yeshua,
y se fueron a los hermanos judíos,
and they went directly towards our Jewish brothers,
buscando por entregarse al pueblo judío, yendo a través de ellos, pero no a través del Mesías.
They wanted to give themselves directly to the Jewish people, but not through the Messiah.
Porque no encontraron una respuesta en el Mesías. Por cualquier razón.
Because they didn't find, according to them, an answer with the Messiah.
Entonces,
they're returning to Judaism without the HaMashiach.
Entonces están regresando al judaísmo sin el Mesías, pregunta el Rabbi Shapira.
Pero ellos lo habían conocido antes.
But they knew him before they turned to Judaism.
Así que la pregunta es,
my question is this:
esperanza de volver? ¿O no?
Do they have hope of returning? Is the question.
First of all, everybody have a hope to return.
Primero, antes que todo, todas las personas tienen la esperanza de regresar.
Wonderful question.
Una pregunta maravillosa.
Really, thank you so much.
Muchísimas gracias.
First of all, I want everybody to understand the reason I'm so excited about it. There is hope,
La razón por que estoy muy contento por esto es porque siempre hay una esperanza
and
de
you
regresar.
Hollywood cannot make such an Hollywood story.
Ni Hollywood mismo puede hacer una novela y una película tan preciosa como esta de la
Because
escritura,
it is a story of impossibility
porque es una historia de lo imposible
and unlikelihood.
y algo que no suceda.
It is called not just a miracle, it's called a great miracle.
No solamente se llama un milagro, sino un gran milagro.
The question, look, I really believe, I know you're going to think it's crazy what I'm telling you right.
A lo mejor va a pensar que es una locura lo que le voy a decir ahora.
If you are Latin descendant
Si usted es de descendencia latinoamericana
and you are here,
y usted está aquí,
there is some force from above
hay una fuerza desde arriba, desde lo alto,
that direct you here.
que lo dirigió a este lugar.
I told Tom, what do you think? You went through the journey because you not have a connection in your past for the house of
Yo
Israel?
le hice la pregunta al Robertón, ¿tú piensas que tú atravesaste este viaje al azar o es que tú tenías una conexión directamente con Dios?
It's true for each and every one of you who is Latin descendant.
Es verdad para cada una persona que es de descendiente latinoamericano.
But does it make you Jewish?
Pero la pregunta es, ¿te hace esto judío?
I want to stress it very clear.
Quiero enfatizar esto claramente.
No.
Claro que no.
Only Mashiach will convert you.
Solamente el Mesías te va a convertir.
Not the rabbinical authority.
Ninguna autoridad rabínica te va a convertir.
So coming back to your question,
Entonces, regresando a su pregunta,
you have to understand that they're going and converting to Judaism.
entienda que ellos se están convirtiendo al judaísmo.
It's a violation
Es una violación,
because somehow it's also belongs still to Esav in some level.
porque pertenecen en un nivel a Esaf todavía.
You have to understand Mashiach want to deal with this on a personal level.
Tiene que comprender de que el Mesías quiere tratar con este tema de una manera personal.
Because he's very, I don't need to tell you, look at what he's going to do to Edom, to Christianity in Isaiah 63.
No tengo que decírselo, tiene que ver simplemente lo que dice la profecía de Isaías 63.
Oh, he's very angry.
Está muy molesto, ahí lo podemos ver en el texto.
He look like Edom.
Está vestido como Edom, de
He
rojo,
make their own people look like Edom.
y hace que su propio pueblo luzca como Edom.
So it is Mashiach
Es el Mesías
who have to welcome them.
que les tiene que dar la bienvenida.
Those who reject the Messiah
Aquellos que rechazan al Mesías
disqualify themselves.
se autodescalifican,
They actually-
quedan descalificados.
They get themselves out of the game
Ellos mismos se están descalificando del partido,
of experience the great miracle.
de experimentar este gran milagro.
Listen, there is a pipe dream today. I really believe it.
Yo creo que hay un sueño en estos tiempos.
This is a big initiative in Brazil
Esto es una gran iniciativa en Brasil
to receive some recognition as Jews.
que quiere recibir un reconocimiento como judíos.
Listen, the rabbinical authority will never allow it.
Escuche bien, las autoridades rabínicas no lo van a permitir.
The reality is
La realidad es esta:
when they are returning,
cuando ellos están regresando,
do they know that they already belong to the house of Israel?
¿saben ellos que pertenecen a la casa de Israel?
Again, this is a metaphoric language.
Esto es un idioma, una lengua metafórica.
The answer is, of course, yes.
La respuesta es por supuesto que
They
sí
are
saben.
ready because they are being led there.
Sí, ellos saben que sí porque están siendo guiados.
When we are going to see the big spiritual awakening, believe it or not,
Aunque usted no lo crea, cuando vamos a ver un avivamiento espiritual muy grande,
it's going to be after Gog and Magog,
va a ser después de Og y Magog,
not before.
no antes.
The problem is in Gog and Magog, many are going to die.
El problema es que en Og y Magog muchos van a perecer.
That's why right now we have to do the work to prepare this ground before it's too late.
Entonces es importante que preparemos nosotros la tierra antes que sea muy tarde.
When Gog and Magog happen, only two groups will remain.
Cuando suceda Og y Magog, solamente dos grupos van a quedar en pie.
Those righteous Gentiles
Los gentiles justos
who are there truly the remnant.
que son verdaderamente el remanente,
And within the righteous Gentiles, there will be a group called Israel.
y dentro del el grupo de los justos gentiles va a haber un grupo que se llama Israel.
And at this point, they are returning back.
Y en ese punto ya ellos están regresando.
So ask yourself a question, what kind of event
Hágase esta pregunta: ¿qué tipo de evento
who would want to make him to go up to Jerusalem?
le va a causar a usted de regresar a Jerusalén nuevamente?
Let me give you a scenario, okay?
Déjeme presentarle un escenario.
A war break in the Middle East.
Una guerra en el Medio Oriente.
Imagine that, like that's ever going to happen, right?
Imagínese eso.
Very likely.
Es posible que eso suceda.
And the nations are gathering against Israel, the Middle East.
Las naciones se están levantando contra Israel en el Medio Oriente.
Listen, Israel get into a war
Si Israel entra a una guerra
with Iran,
con Irán,
Russia is involved,
está involucrado Rusia,
and North Korea is involved.
y Corea del Norte también va a estar
Because it's all
involucrada.
Russian and North Korean technology.
Porque toda la tecnología que se está usando es rusa y coreana. Del norte.
Miraculously, Mashiach coming
Milagrosamente el Mesías viene
and redeem Israel, save Israel.
y salva y redime a Israel.
Everybody think this is over.
Y todo el mundo piensa que ahí se acabó todo.
No, that's where the beginning is.
Es ahí donde comienza todo.
Come, let us go up to the mountain of the Lord.
Venga, subamos al monte del Señor.
That's when everybody flocking.
Ese es en el momento cuando todos se agrupan para ir.
The Gentiles
Todos los gentiles.
will all going to want to come up. This is the.
Todos van a querer ascender a Israel.
That's why it's talking the two in gathering. That's the second in gathering.
Ese es el segundo,
That's the good in gathering.
ese es el buen recogimiento.
Okay, but then something supernatural happens.
Pero algo sobrenatural ocurre entonces.
God is awakened.
Dios está despertando
The Sfaradim all over the world in this.
los sefarditas en todas partes del mundo en ese momento.
The fact that you are awakened today
De hecho que usted esté despierto, sea despertado hoy,
already
ahora
tell you how close we are to Gog and Magog.
nos da una indicación de qué tan cerca estamos a Og y Magog.
Do you realize that you are awakening?
¿Usted se ha dado cuenta que está despertando?
Is God grace upon you
¿Se da cuenta que esto es gracia de Dios sobre cada una de sus vidas
to prepare you?
para prepararlos?
So I would say this, if you are joining yourself now to the house of Israel,
Ahora, yo les voy a decir esto: si usted se está agregando a la casa de Israel,
understand something from this. I hope you understand it clearly.
espero que entienda esto claramente.
Israel is not complete.
Israel no está completa.
Okay, they joined the house of Israel. Okay.
Ok,
Let's say
entraron a la casa de Israel.
Israel have no salvation
Israel no tiene salvación
until Mashiach comes.
hasta que venga el Mesías.
So what are you joining yourself to?
Entonces, ¿a qué te estás agregando?
They called do you remember what they said about the gift? They said they will be led.
Recuerda lo del regalo. Ellos van a ser traídos,
Jubilee,
dirigidos,
Yovel, Jubilee.
como un jubileo.
The captive will set free.
Los cautivos van a ser liberados.
Who are the captives?
¿Quiénes son los cautivos?
The natural branch
La rama natural
and also Israel.
y también Israel.
All the captives will be set free in this.
Todos los cautivos van a ser liberados.
So I say what you need to do right now
Lo que usted tiene que hacer ahora mismo es
to recognize something. This is now is a prep. You're in the prep time.
este es un tiempo de preparación.
Preparatory time for where you will be called.
Tiempo de preparación a donde usted va a ser llamado.
Mashiach will have to look at each of everyone.
El Mesías va a tener que vernos a cada uno individualmente.
So are you qualified to be part of the house of Israel?
Y nos va a ver y ver si estamos calificados para ser parte de la casa de Israel.
And you know what? You're coming to meet Yeshua.
¿Y sabes qué? Te vas a encontrar con Yeshua.
What do you think the first qualification is?
¿Cuál cree que es su primera requisito que usted debe de tener? Gracias, Roe.
Accepting the right Yeshua.
Aceptar al Yeshua correcto.
That's your number one qualification.
Ese es el primer requisito.
Everything else that will be joining that.
Todo eso va a girar alrededor
My
de
God,
esa.
that's why we need to fill this place with as many Latins.
Por eso que tenemos que llenar este lugar con la máxima personas latinos que puedan venir.
There was a rabbi told me many years ago.
Un rabino me dijo hace mucho
I
tiempo
don't
atrás,
understand why God just sent me all those Rodriguezes and Gonzalez.
yo no entiendo por qué Dios me manda a todos esos Rodríguez y todos esos González a la comunidad.
I want Cohen and Levy.
Yo quiero que me mande Cohen y Levi.
I tried to sit down and explain to him.
Traté de explicarle, me senté con él para tratar de explicárselo.
Rodriguez is Rodriguez Cohen.
Rodríguez es Rodríguez Cohen,
Gonzalez is Gonzalez Levy.
González es González Levi.
He didn't understand.
Y no entendió.
He's not in ministry because of that now.
Y ahora no está en el ministerio por eso.
Salinas is the next level up.
Salinas es el próximo nivel arriba.
Yeah. But you understand what I'm saying?
Ahora, ¿comprende lo que le estoy diciendo?
It's demonic
Es demoníaco
for them to convert to Judaism right
que
now.
se conviertan al judaísmo en este momento.
You know why?
¿Sabe por qué?
Because they will not be able to. They are the gift.
Recuerde que en la presentación ellos son el regalo.
So you know, to convert,
Para convertirse
you need three things. Right?
necesitas tres cosas, ¿verdad?
You need a circumcision.
Necesitas circuncisión,
You need to bring a sacrifice.
tienes que traer un sacrificio
What was this? I said circumcision. And you need a mikveh.
y tiene que haber un mikveh, una inmersión.
Sacrifice is not needed
El sacrificio no es necesitado
because they are the sacrifice.
porque ellos son el sacrificio.
What the Geulah of the Anusim sacrifices, it's like the 6 million Jews. It's not any different than the 6 million Jews in the Holocaust. The same thing.
Es exactamente lo mismo de los 6 millones de judíos en el holocausto.
Okay? What about the next one?
Y el próximo,
Brit Milah.
la circuncisión.
That's another hot topic.
Eso-
Everybody.
Ese es
go
un
get
tema
Brit
bien caliente.
Milah. Listen, you want to get Brit Milah, get Brit Milah. Chop it off.
Mira, si quieres hacerte una circuncisión, entonces háztela.
But I want to tell you what Chazal says.
Pero déjame decirte lo que dicen los sabios de Israel,
They don't need Brit Milah.
que ellos no necesitan circuncisión.
They need one thing,
Necesitan una sola cosa,
a mikveh.
una inmersión,
The mikveh of Mashiach.
una inmersión del Mesías.
You have to know who Mashiach is today
Usted tiene que saber quién es el Mesías en este tiempo
so that you can get into his mikveh.
para que usted pueda entrar a hacer el acto de purificación.
And that's your number one start.
Y esa es su primera parada.
Meeting the real Yeshua
Encontrarse con el verdadero Yeshua
and getting ready
y prepararse
to join back to the family formally with the proper documentation of Yeshua.
y regresar y unirse a la familia con los documentos correctos que vengan directamente de Yeshua.
Amen.
Amén.
I answer your question.
¿Contesté su pregunta?
Fantastic.
Fantástico.
Any other questions?
¿Alguna
please?
otra pregunta aquí física, aquí en la comunidad?
And reading the Bible, the Lord takes a number of people who maybe have.
We can hear you. Come up. People want to hear online. We're going crazy with questions online. Quickly, run. You
Kadima.
delay Geulah. Miriam, we will start in 10 minutes. The Avdallah. Go.
En 10 minutos comenzamos a Abdallah. Ask your question.
So the question is,
La pregunta es esta.
in the Bible,
En la Biblia,
whenever there's a tragedy such as the 36 who died because Achan he
Yeah,
hit
yeah.
the
Right,
town,
right.
hit the gold, but I've noticed that they've been replaced, they've been added later on. For example, the 36 mighty men of David.
Right.
So with that being said, you brought up the 6 million from the Holocaust. How do you think that will, in a sense, be added and tandem with what's going on for the
So
bringing back?
la pregunta es ¿cómo pueden regresar esas personas que murieron con el problema de Acán, que guardó el lingote de oro y el manto babilónico,
that's
y comparado con los 6 millones de judíos que perecieron en el
that's
holocausto?
actually a pretty easy question.
Esa es una pregunta muy
It
fácil.
said in Moed Katan,
Lo dice en el Moed Katan,
the death of the righteous atone.
la muerte del justo expía por el pueblo.
The reason that there is some who are stuck in the teeth of Esau,
La razón por qué algunos todavía siguen dentro de los dientes de Esaú,
because so many died.
porque muchos han muerto.
So many tzaddikim have died.
Muchos justos han muerto.
So many did not convert.
Muchos no se convirtieron.
You're talking about a Holocaust.
Estamos hablando de un holocausto.
So you have to understand that tzaddikim
Tienes que comprender a los justos.
still have a merit today
Tienen un mérito hasta el día de hoy
upon the entire Latin world.
sobre todo el mundo latinoamericano.
To give them that chance. That is where the merit ends, though.
Ahí es donde el mérito termina.
It's not the merit for salvation.
No es el mérito para la salvación.
It's the merit to have a chance to regress or to come back.
Es el mérito para tener la opción de regresar.
It's a little opening,
Es una pequeña apertura
and this opening is becoming narrower and narrower.
y esta apertura está más estrecha cada día.
Time is ticking on the Latin world,
El tiempo está pasando para el pueblo hispano parlante,
but I'm telling you something.
pero le digo algo.
This is going to happen because the prophet told us.
Esto va a ocurrir porque los profetas lo dijeron.
And it's not a calamity prophecy.
Y
It's,
no
a,
es una profecía de calamidades.
it's a good prophecy.
Es una buena profecía.
And a good prophecy has to be fulfilled.
Y una buena profecía se tiene que cumplir.
Okay, we answered the question?
¿Le contesté su pregunta?
Very good, very good.
Gracias.
Any other physical question? Yes, sister, quickly.
Kadima.
Run. Don't run. Go ahead. Please say your name.
Por favor, diga su nombre.
Gloria Elizabeth. I'm from El Salvador, Central America.
El
Soy de Salvador,
Salvador.
Centroamérica.
So if things get really bad in Israel, because wars of rumors are there now,
Si las cosas se ponen mal en Israel porque hay rumores de guerra,
I do want to thank you because I went to Israel with my family.
quiero darle las gracias porque fui a Israel con mi familia.
I've been there 7 times to Israel.
Ya he estado 7 veces allá.
I love Israel. I want to move to Israel.
Question.
¿Cuál es la pregunta,
The
hermana?
question is that if things get really, really bad in
Si las
Israel,
cosas se ponen muy mal,
do you think that the Israeli government will allow us to come and stand by Israel?
si el pueblo de Israel el gobierno de Israel nos va a permitir regresar a Israel y apoyarlos.
You have to understand
Tiene que comprender
that Israel border will not open up.
que las fronteras de Israel no se van a abrir en ese momento.
What do you think Isaiah 2 is?
¿Qué cree que es Isaías 2?
Come, let us go up to the mount of the Lord.
Vamos, ascendamos al monte del Señor.
It's a mass immigration.
Es una inmigración masiva,
But that's happened after Gog and Magog.
pero eso ocurre después de Og y Magog.
Israel first have to go through this travail.
Israel tiene que ir a través de estos dolores.
Magog y Agog, it's Iran and Persia and Russia.
Gog y Magog es Rusia, Irán.
Jeremiah says in Jeremiah, the trouble of Gog and Magog will start from the north.
Como dice el profeta Jeremías,
North.
viene del norte la guerra.
Pay attention to Russia, Ukraine.
Ponga la atención a Rusia, Ucrania.
It could be.
Puede ser,
But you have to remember something again.
pero tiene que recordarse otra cosa.
If the people repent,
Si las personas se arrepienten,
God can reverse negative prophecy.
el Señor puede invertir las profecías negativas y que no se cumplan.
The birth pang, the coming of Mashiach does not have to be difficult.
Los dolores de parto del Mesías y la venida del Mesías no tiene que ser difícil.
And we need to pray for this
Y
today.
tenemos que orar por esto hoy.
So this is a good question, very good.
Muy
question.
buena pregunta.
We would like to take a few questions online.
Vamos a tomar algunas preguntas en línea.
Is that a question?
Yes,
Okay, go ahead. Let's see. Is that a long one?
yes.
Go ahead.
Shalom.
Go
I
ahead.
have been studying Hebrew roots since
Uh-huh.
I was 5 years in line
Okay.
because my city in Manizales, Colombia, we don't know any people or any place that believe and follow Messiah Yeshua. I have been trying to contact with Jewish communities to make to do aliyah, but they say we do not classify for
She don't call you classify for it.
yeah.
Okay, this is exactly
And I've
what.
been trying for 3 years.
Stop.
Nobody helps me.
Stop trying.
Deje de tratar, Carolina.
Carolina, listen to me. Stop trying.
Carolina, escúcheme. Deje de seguir tratando.
The way you get to Yerushalayim is not on a 777.
de la manera como usted va para Jerusalén, no es un Boeing 777.
You will be led to Jerusalem to an event like a rapture.
Usted va a ser llevada o guiada hacia Jerusalén, al igual que un rapto.
Israel will not accept the Anusim today
Israel no acepta a los Anusim en este momento.
until Israel will not suffer a wound.
Hasta que,
Israel will not open its border. I say it with pain.
hasta que Israel no sufra una herida, no va a abrir sus fronteras.
And that's why I said what I said.
Por eso dije lo que dije.
I tell you a story.
Le digo una historia.
I do a lot of work with Anusim.
Yo trabajo mucho con los Anusim.
There is an organization in Israel.
Hay una organización en Israel.
We got very excited about what we do.
Está muy contento de lo que estamos haciendo aquí.
Right next to my hometown.
Ahí al lado de donde yo nací.
They invited me to speak.
Me invitaron a hacer una exposición.
The moment we found out that we are messianic,
En el momento que se dieron cuenta que éramos mesiánicos,
they say you're not welcome here. We will never talk to you again.
me dijeron, no venga nunca más aquí, usted no es bienvenido aquí.
It's delaying the Geulah.
Está retrasando la redención final.
Don't lose heart, Carolina.
No pierda esperanza.
The awakening for me, wow, how much the prophet spoke about this awakening.
Los profetas han hablado mucho de este avivamiento.
This awakening is great.
Este avivamiento es grandioso,
It's real.
es real.
But don't let the fire this go down.
No permita que el fuego se extinga
Just because the rabbinical authority denied.
simplemente porque las autoridades rabínicas la rechazaron.
It will change,
Todo va a cambiar,
but not by man,
pero no va a cambiar por el hombre.
by Messiah.
Va a cambiar directamente a través del Mesías.
Amen. Amen. Go ahead. Question.
This is just
Portuguese? Oh, it's a
Portuguese.
Portuguese, but it's not a question.
Okay, it's not.
And that's amazing.
Okay.
Oh.
And we want to say something, if you don't want to say a few words for the Portuguese
Por
brothers.
favor, di algunas palabras en portugués para nuestros hermanos.
To our brothers and sisters watching Brazil, Portugal,
Para os nossos irmãos que estão assistindo no Brasil e em Portugal,
it's a package deal.
é pacote.
They went from Sfarad to Portugal.
Porque eles saíram do Farad para Portugal.
They thought they're going to find a safe haven in Portugal,
Eles acharam que iam achar lugar seguro em Portugal,
but it was even worse.
mas foi pior.
You know, finally, just a year or two ago,
E
last year,
E finalmente, praticamente no ano passado,
they recognized the Holocaust. Finally, is the national day of
eles finalmente
Portugal.
reconheceram o Holocausto.
Do you understand?
Você está entendendo?
It's being a Holocaust denier for your entire history.
Eles estavam negando o Holocausto, que é uma história.
That's why I believe what's happening right now is prophetic. Brothers and sisters, listen to me.
Por isso que eu acredito que isso é um momento profético. Acredite em mim.
Do you remember? When we're going to be in Portuguese for one moment, we want to, this is good.
Nós vamos fazer isso por um momento em português, porque isso é bom.
Do you remember what we talked today about Amos?
Você lembra do que a gente falou sobre Amós?
But there was one more thing we didn't mention.
Mas tinha uma outra coisa que a gente não mencionou.
The scripture says
A Escritura fala
that they will take the inheritance out of Edom.
que eles vão tirar a herança de Edom.
But you know the word in Hebrew for taking the inheritance out of
Mas você
Edom
sabe que a palavra fala em hebraico
is the word Anusim.
é a palavra Anusim.
Do you know who's going to become the
E
Anusim?
você sabe quem que vai ser o Anusim?
Esav will become the Anusim.
Esau vai ser esse Anusim.
Those who were taken by
Esses que
force
foram tirados por força
will take by force
vão ser trazidos pela força.
their Jewishness, the Jewishness of the faith.
E a fé judaica deles.
And that's why we decided to do something very important.
E por isso que nós estamos fazendo isso, que é muito
And
importante.
God, I hope you send support, financial support for this.
Eu espero que você também possa dar o suporte também
There is not a
financeiramente.
church in Sfarad or in Portugal you go to.
Não tem uma igreja em Portugal, Safat,
You will go and scrape the wall,
que você pode ir lá e raspar as paredes
and you will not find it was a synagogue.
e que não era uma sinagoga.
Do you understand? This is all of our history as
Isso daí
Jews.
é parte da nossa história.
We need to take Spain and Portugal
Nós precisamos pegar Portugal e Espanha,
because it's a spiritual root.
Porque é uma rota espiritual.
By force.
Pela força.
Let me tell you reality of what's happening
Deixa eu
now.
falar que isso é uma realidade.
God sent us this last year.
Deus nos trouxe no ano passado
A Jewish Sephardic, but raised in Judaism.
uma pessoa, um judeu que foi criado no judaísmo.
This is a miracle.
Isso é um milagre.
A Dutch Jewish Moroccan.
Um judeu marroquino,
He called me.
ele me ligou.
His name is Daniel.
O nome dele é
You
Daniel.
know, you need to
Você
pray.
conhece ele.
We
Você
need to
precisa
be
orar.
involved.
Nós precisamos estar
Your bread
envolvidos.
of light, you need to be involved in
Você
this in
precisa estar
prayer.
envolvido em oração.
He called us. His wife is from
E ele nos
Dominican
chamou
Republic.
Da República, ele é da República Dominicana.
What
esposa
an
dele.
amazing story.
E que história incrível.
He's a lawyer.
E ele é um advogado.
COVID-19 broke.
E o COVID-19 apareceu.
And he is running successful
E
company.
ele tinha uma companhia muito bem sucedida.
Says, I'm packing up
E
everything.
ele falou, estou pegando tudo,
I am leaving
eu
Holland.
estou saindo,
I'm moving to Spain.
eu estou mudando para Espanha.
And I'm opening a Messianic
E eu
synagogue.
vou abrir uma igreja messiânica lá.
In Spain.
E na Espanha.
I said to the guy, are you
Eu
crazy?
falei, você é louco?
And I am going to do it
E eu vou estar fazendo,
with my EV electric car,
e eu vou estar indo com o meu carro elétrico,
driving all across Europe.
dirigindo, passando pela Europa inteira.
There is a Messianic synagogue
E
right
vai
now.
ter agora tem uma igreja messiânica lá.
In the next 3 years,
Nos próximos 3 anos.
Messianic synagogue in Barcelona,
Vai ter congregação messiânica em Barcelona,
Messianic synagogue in Madrid,
vai ter em Madrid,
Messianic synagogue
Vai ter
need to
uma
be in Toledo,
congregação messiânica em Toledo,
and Messianic synagogue in Lisbon, God
e
willing.
também terá em Lisboa.
Let me tell you the shocking reality. You
Deixa eu te falar uma realidade.
There is nothing today.
Hoje não tem nada.
Gurnished a la Gurnish, nothing.
Não tem nada, nada.
This is breaking the ground.
Isso, nós estamos quebrando as fronteiras e o chão agora.
And this is the root of anybody who speaks Spanish in the world, from Sfarad and Portugal.
Esse é o começo.
Brothers and sisters, we need to pray now.
Nós temos que orar agora.
Because when the revival will start in Spain,
Porque o revivamento vai começar na Espanha.
I told Roeton, the second the COVID-19 is lifted,
Desde o momento que o COVID-19 for tirado,
we are all on the plane to Spain
nós vamos estar indo para a Espanha
to do a worldwide
para estar
event,
fazendo um evento
calling all the
mundial.
Sparadim, all the Sparadim. It's going to be a gigantic
Vai
thing.
ser uma coisa enorme.
You better believe it, it's happening.
E acredite.
And I want you there.
Eu quero vocês
Don't need your
todos lá,
clapping, I need you there.
porque nós precisamos de vocês lá.
Spain is lovely in the summer.
A Espanha é maravilhosa no verão.
Friends, look, this is key.
Isso é fundamental.
We are now the keys in the battle
E a chave está agora nessa batalha
for the leftover
para o remanescente
that's stuck in the teeth of Esau.
que estão presos no dente de Esau.
You're fighting here in Yeshiva Bread of Life.
Vocês estão aqui na Yeshiva Bread of Life.
Those who are watching, look at the
Esses que
numbers.
vocês estão assistindo, olha os
150
números.
cities
Tem
watching
mais de
us.
156 cidades assistindo.
I beg you,
Eu imploro a vocês.
you are not alone.
Vocês não estão sozinhos.
Let's come together.
Vamos estar juntos.
Come to Yeshiva Tshuva.
Vem para a Yeshiva.
Help us connect
E
with
nos
us.
ajuda a estarmos conectando.
Don't stay in Christianity
Não fique só no cristianismo.
and don't convert to Judaism.
E não se converta para o judaísmo.
Beloved, together
Porque nós estamos juntos.
we're going to overcome this.
Nós vamos superar.
Please pray for my brother Daniel Vaknin.
Então, ora pelo meu amigo Daniel.
Listen, another miracle.
Isso é um milagre.
We translated everything to Portuguese
Nós
now.
estamos traduzindo agora tudo para o português.
One woman
Uma mulher
singing
Uma
everything,
mulher.
translated this entire thing.
traduziu
Craziness.
tudo isso em português. Isso é incrível.
She finished, translated the Besorah in Shavuot, the Besorah in Portuguese.
Ela terminou de traduzir tudo isso em
Siddur
português.
is already in
O
Portuguese.
Sidur já está em português.
The second we started,
No momento que a gente começou.
oh my God,
É incrível.
what a hard ground.
E que maravilhoso esse momento.
What a difficulties.
Quantas
With the
dificuldades
Portuguese, what
com
is
os
this?
portugueses, né? Ali em português.
Guess what?
Mas sabe de uma coisa?
We are not going anywhere.
Mas nós não vamos sair daqui.
We are going to find the piece that are stuck in the
Nós
teeth of
vamos
Esau,
encontrar os pedaços que estão presos no dente de Esau.
and they're going to be pulled up.
E eles vão estar saindo.
And if you're really honest with yourself,
Se
even though I
você
don't,
está honestamente com você mesmo,
the entire journey,
a nossa viagem,
you were stuck in the church, my friend,
nós estávamos presos dentro da igreja,
and the mercy of God
mas nós estávamos dentro da misericórdia de
has
Deus.
pulled you out,
Ele nos tirou de lá.
and He will do it for each and every one of you.
E agora estamos aqui.
Because Yeshua
Porque Yeshua,
wants to meet you,
ele quer te...
and He wants to get you into this
Ele
giant
quer que você esteja entrando
mikveh.
dentro dessa mikveh.
Can we pray?
Podemos orar?
It's Shabbat overtime. We're going to do Havdalah together.
Você quer?
Yeah, I wanted to translate it in 2 languages. I want both, but
Okay.
symbolically. We're going to do a very short prayer.
Vamos a hacer una oración bien corta.
Okay, here we go. Here you go, brothers. You go first, and you go after me.
Ok,
Here we go.
copiado.
This is it. This is it. Thank you for everybody staying. This is a very.
Gracias por quedarse.
Muito obrigado por você estar aqui.
This is an emotional evening to all of us.
Esto es una tarde muy emotiva para cada uno de nosotros.
Tarde muito emocionante para todos nós.
I really feel something deep in my heart.
Yo siento algo bien profundo en mi
Eu
corazón.
sinto algo muito profundo no meu coração.
Thank you, Holy Spirit.
Gracias, Espíritu Santo.
Muito obrigado, Espírito Santo.
There is hope.
Hay esperanza.
Tem esperança.
Lord, we know about the rumors of war and famine and
Señor,
troubles.
nosotros sabemos de hambrunas, de rumores de guerra,
Nós sabemos os rumores de guerra,
But Abba, you are not done with the Sfaradim, Portuguese. You are not done.
Señor, pero no has terminado con el pueblo sefardita y portugués.
porque o Senhor não tem terminado com o povo serafim português.
There are 2 things, Lord, that you will press on my heart.
Hay 2 cosas que tú has puesto en mi corazón.
Tem 2 coisas que o Senhor tem colocado no meu coração.
Number 1, you said that you will awaken them by the Spirit.
Número 1, dijiste que los iba a despertar a través del Espíritu.
O número 1, que você vai despertá-los pelo
Men,
Espírito.
may men and women start to have dream and vision, and Joel chapter 3 will be upon them.
Señor, declaramos hoy, Joel, sobre el número 3, que tengan visiones, revelaciones y sueños.
E que o Senhor estará dando visões e revelações aos homens e mulheres.
And as they have the vision, lift the spirit of shame from the people.
Y mientras tienen estas visiones, que se vaya este espíritu, Señor, de vergüenza, Padre.
E que eles possam ter essa visão e tirar esse espírito de vergonha.
Remind the people to the Spirit.
Recuérdale a las personas a través del
Que
Espíritu.
eles possam estar se relembrando através do Espírito.
And number 2, Lord,
Y número 2, Señor,
Número 2, Senhor.
I pray that you loosen the soil.
te pido por favor que suavices esta tierra.
Que o Senhor esteja, Senhor, número 2,
Right
que o Senhor
now,
esteja
by-
ajeitando a terra.
By name,
Por nombre,
Pelo nome.
loosen the soil in the Dominican Republic.
suelta la tierra, Señora, en República
Prepare
Dominicana,
a terra da República Dominicana.
El Salvador,
El
De El
Salvador,
Salvador.
Chile,
Chile,
De Chile.
Ecuador,
Ecuador,
Colombia,
Colombia,
Colômbia.
Brazil,
Brasil,
Brasil.
Argentina.
Argentina,
Argentina.
We ask Abba, Peru.
Perú,
Peru.
Shout your country.
México, Nicaragua,
Thank you. Cuba.
Puerto Rico,
Thank you, Lord.
Panamá,
Puerto Rico. Thank you.
Costa Rica,
Thank you.
Guatemala, El Salvador,
Fala.
Gracias.
Amém.
Honduras,
Amém.
Nicaragua, Uruguay, Paraguay, Panamá.
Yes, they're losing. There is a remnant in each one of those nations.
Hay un remanente en cada una de
Existe
esas naciones.
remanescente em cada uma dessas
Argentina,
nações.
Chile,
But there is a root.
pero hay una raíz
Mas tem
también.
uma raiz também.
And we are asking, Lord, that you help us to deal with the root.
Señor, te pedimos que nos ayudes a tratar con las raíces.
Senhor, te pedimos para que o Senhor esteja tratando com as raízes.
And those who work in Spain and Portugal today will not despair. They
Y,
will not despair.
y aquellos que están trabajando en Portugal Y en España,
E
Señor,
aqueles que estão trabalhando em Portugal e na Espanha,
You be with them.
seas tú con
estejam
ellos.
com eles.
You show them miracles.
Enséñales, muéstrales
Mostre
milagros,
os milagres,
Show them signs.
muéstrales
mostre
señales.
os sinais.
And maybe the encouragement of what is taken from Esau.
Señor, y que ellos sean fortalecidos y que tomen lo que les
Que
pertenece
eles
de
possam ser
Esaú.
fortalecidos e encorajados.
Thank you, Lord.
Gracias, Señor.
Te agradecemos.
Your mercy endures forever.
Señor, tu misericordia perdura para siempre.
Sua misericórdia dure para sempre.
In the name of Yeshua.
En el nombre de Yeshua.
Amen.
Amén, ve amén.
Amen. Hallelujah.
Gloria al Señor. Aleluya.
Can we go? Should we move the camera? Friends, before you join us, and I invite everybody to join us for Avdallah, I want to remind you. If you can bring the Avdallah on this, here we go, guys. Join us for Avdallah today, very special. I know I don't have my little boy with me, Noach Shapira, but we are going to be back with Noach next week. Now, I want to remind you, if you're blessed by this, if you believe in the power of what is being shared today, if you are maybe hearing from God, we want to hear from you. We want to, you can light the candle already. We want to hear from you, and we want to know how we can minister to you. We want to know how come on, Oscar, how we can pray for you during this time. In the name of Yeshua.
En el nombre de Yeshua.
Tomorrow is an important yeshiva.
Mañana tenemos una clase de la Yeshiva muy importante.
The two sons of Israel.
Los dos hijos de Israel.
We want you to be part of this.
Queremos que sea parte de ese evento tan importante.
Please register.
Por favor, regístrese.
It will be available in English and Spanish.
Va a estar disponible en inglés y español.
We can't wait.
Estamos ansiosos, no podemos esperar más.
Okay, come on, everybody, come closer.
Vengan, vengan, por favor, acérquense.
We have spices, Tom? Tom, do we have spices? Spices?
We'll bring the spices now.
Bring me anything.
Yeah, just let it down here.
Friends, tomorrow morning will be amazing. We want you to
Amigos, mañana en la mañana esto va a ser maravilloso.
What a beautiful crowd we have here today.
Tenemos un grupo precioso ahora mismo para terminar el Shabbat, hacer el Havdalah.
Oh my goodness. Amen. And after that, we're going to count the Omer together.
Y después de eso vamos a hacer el conteo del Omer juntos.
Thank you, Lord.
Gracias, Señor. Gracias, Señor, por este Shabbat tan fabuloso.
ראשון לציון הנעינם לירושלים מבשרתן אל תשמחי ובתהילי כי נפלתי קמתי כי ישב בחושך אדוני אור לי ליהודים הייתה אורה ושמחה וששון הוא יקר ויהי דוד לכל דרכיו ומשכיל ויהי אדוני עמו ונוח מצא חן בעיני אדוני כי נמצא חן ושכל טוב בעיני אלוהים ואדם קומי אורי כי בא אורך וכבוד אדוני עלייך זרח כי הנה חושך יחסי הארץ וערפל לאומים ועלייך יזרח אדוני וקולתו עלייך יראה כוס ישועות עשו שם אדוני יקרא אנא אדוני הושיענה אנא אדוני הושיענה אנא אדוני הצליחנה אנא אדוני הצליחנה אנא אדוני הושיענה אנא אדוני הושיענה אנא אדוני הצליחנה אנא אדוני הצליחנה. Please Adonai save now. Please Adonai save now. Please bring success now. Please bring success now. We are praying for success. הצליחנו, הצליח דרכנו, הצליח לימודנו, שלח ברכה, רווחה, הצלחה בכל מעשה ידינו, ככתוב יישא ברכה ואת אדוני צדקה מאת אישו, ליהודים הייתה אורה וצליחה ששון הוא יקר, ככתוב, ויהי דוד לכל דרכיו, משכיל ואדוני עמו, כן יהיה עמנו תמיד. Anybody need success this week?
¿Alguien necesita éxito esta semana? Todos.
For what?
Para la familia.
Health.
La salud.
Healing.
Sanidades.
Healing. Sanidad.
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 Unity.
Unity.
Unity for the family.
Familia.
Finances.
Finances.
Children.
Los niños.
Hijos.
Our sons and daughters. Avivamiento.
Granddaughters. Amen. Grandson. Amen.
Revelación.
Amen.
To draw closer to Messiah.
Acercarnos
Amén.
más al Mesías.
Amen. 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 On all of those, we say Amen.
A todos le decimos amén.
May Hashem grant us great success tomorrow in the yeshiva.
Que el Señor nos dé éxito mañana en la yeshiva.
I also want to pray great success for the community,
Y también quiero orar por gran éxito para esta comunidad,
holy community in this time of the counting of the Omer.
en esta comunidad santa durante el conteo del Omer.
May we all move up.
Y que todos ascendamos.
All right. Don't drink it yet. We just do the bracha.
Vamos a hacer la bendición.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam.
Bore Bria Efem.
Amen. Don't
Amén.
drink
Todavía
yet.
no tome.
Okay. It also says that we are to be like, have the fragrance of the Mashiach.
Y dice que debemos de tener la fragancia del Mesías.
Smell good?
Huele rico. Mica.
Smell good?
Mica.
Here you go. You can pass it. It's legal to sniff it. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei minei yetzeh besamim. Amen. Children, put your fist to it and look to the light. That's what's going to happen when Mashiach comes.
Esto es lo que va a ocurrir cuando venga el Mesías.
You notice how you were like yellow?
Mire cómo que está como amarillo con la luz.
It says with Adam, when Adam, before his sin,
Dice que los rabinos que antes de que tuviera pecado Adán,
look at the color of my knuckle.
mire cómo están mis nudillos, el color.
That was the color that was radiating out of Adam.
Asimismo, irradiaba la luz en la piel de Adán.
Anybody need physical healing today?
¿Alguien necesita sanidad física?
Come closer to the light
Acérquese a la luz
and say, God, I want a restoration and healing
y
today.
dígale hoy al Señor, necesito restauración y sanidad.
Thank you, Lord.
Gracias, Señor.
Heal your people.
Sana a tu pueblo, Señor.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei meorei ha'esh. Thank you for the fire of Mashiach.
Gracias por el fuego del Mesías, Señor.
Amen. You can take this sip in a second. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, המבדיל בין קודש לחול, בין אור לחושך, בין ישראל לעמים, בין יום השביעי לששת ימי מעשה. ברוך אתה אדוני, המבדיל בין קודש לחול. Amen. Take a sip, L'chaim.
L'chaim.
Who wants to help me say goodbye to the Shabbat?
¿Quién me quiere ayudar para despedir el Shabbat?
You want to help me?
¿Me quiere ayudar?
Drink it. It's not vodka. Drink
No
it.
es vodka, tómeselo.
It's only grape juice.
Es jugo de uva.
Ready? Dip it in. Ready? Steady. Shavua Tov.
¡Shavua Tov!
Tell me somebody, Shavua Tov.
¡Shavua Tov para todos!
Shavua Tov.
¡Shavua Tov! ¡Shavua Tov! ¡Shavua Tov! ¡Shavua Tov! ¡Shavua Tov! ¡Shavua Tov!
Shavua Tov. 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 Eliyahu.
Eliyahu Hanavi, Eliyahu Hatishbi, Eliyahu, Eliyahu, Eliyahu Agiladi, Bimira Be'amenu, Bimeu Aleinu, Yimashia Ben David, Yimashia Ben David. Not the funny. Eliyahu Hanavi, Eliyahu Hatishbi,
Eliyahu, Agiladi, Eliyahu, Hanavi, Eliyahu, Atishti, Eliyahu, Eliyahu, Agiladi.
Amen, amen. To those who've been watching us online, what an
Aquellos que nos han
amazing.
estado viendo en línea, qué maravillosos momentos hemos estado experimentando en este
It's
Shabbat.
not too late to register.
No es muy tarde, regístrense y nos vemos mañana en la clase.
We are starting at 9,
A las 9 a.m. comenzamos. Hora este,
9
Orlando.
Eastern,
Hora este, mañana.
which means those who watch Central Time,
Eso significa que los que están en la hora central,
8 a.m.,
8 de la mañana.
which means you're going to get the link tonight.
Eso significa que usted va a recibir el enlace esta noche.
Those who register still until, let's say, 6 a.m. in the morning,
Aquellos que se registren y digamos mañana a las 6 de la mañana,
will get the
link. Va a recibir el enlace. Gracias a todos. Shavua Tov.
Shavua Tov. Those who want to get the book, I have some books here.
Ya,
too.
tenemos los libros. Ana,
Amen.
atiéndeme a los hermanos que necesitan libros.
Tom, come here. So, just in a recap, what do you take out of this day today? I'll give you the last word for a crowd today.
Actually, Rabbi, one of the things that that presentation has really touched my heart. I really had to hold back my emotions.
Yeah, it's emotional.
Yeah, it's emotional because I see the love of Hashem for His people. It's unbelievable.
That's the bottom line, right?
Yeah, that love of
How
Hashem for His
much
people.
God loves God's Son,
Yeah.
sometimes intentionally, sometimes unintentionally, sometimes a little bit of both.
Yeah.
But He said one by one.
One by one.
One
And
by
I
one.
always said, and always had in my heart, that He hasn't lost a one.
And
And
that's
He didn't want to even lose even the ones that were basically assimilated or whatever. But He still loved them enough to give them every opportunity to return unto Him.
Okay, hermanos, we're counting the Omer together.
Counting the Omer.
Here we go. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם אשר קידשנו במצוותיו וציוונו על ספירת העומר. היום יום 28 לספירת העומר, שהם 4 שבועות, 4 weeks. Baruch Hashem. We're going to see you in the morning. We're going to see you in the morning. I hope you've been blessed. If you've been blessed, friends, we need this support so badly, because the work have to expand fast. Thank you for being here. God bless you. Laila Tov, Shavua Tov.